Greetings and welcome to part three of this sermon on Solomon. I already talked about how Solomon was a wise man and how he got spoiled. So now we're going to talk about how he became a vain man near the end of his life. The verses I'll be reading are from Ecclesiastes. This details Solomon's life at the end, at the tail end, and it just shows how his thinking changed. It really just shows it's a lot more pessimistic. Um, but I will say, even at the end of all of that, so he goes on for like 12 chapters saying all of this negative stuff about vanity and how everything's vain. But at the end, he still says, serve God. So even at the end of his entire life, he still says, serve God. Okay, so I'm going to read from Ecclesiastes chapter 2. So Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1. Let's see. I said in mine heart, go to now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this also is vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what doeth it? I sought in mine heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. Very interesting set of verses. Kind of interesting that 3,000 years ago, there was already someone talking like this, thinking like this. And it's very interesting that he says, I gave my heart unto wine. So he's like sinning and, being alcoholic, yet acquainting my heart with wisdom. And it's just kind of funny how many, you kind of wonder how many of these philosophers in history are just drug addicts. There's always something wrong with them. Some of the smartest, most intelligent people, you would think they're the ones being druggies, drinking, smoking. You would think those should be the last people doing that kind of stuff, but they somehow always end up being the first. That's because these high IQ people, especially those that try to become philosophers or psychologists and start overanalyzing everything, they're the ones that get depressed. They're the ones that get depressed first, and they're the ones that become, that end up with all these problems. If you think about all the musicians, all the painters, how many of them were normal, and stayed away from this stuff, and how many of them actually got caught up with drugs or drinking? It's unfortunately it's quite common, very very common. Here you have Solomon, who just is kind of the forerunner of all these other people. Kind of shows you what happens when you get too caught up with your wealth, too privileged, I guess. I don't know. There's so much to say in these verses, so much to analyze here, so many things to think about. So he says, I'll prove thee with mirth. So Solomon said, you know what? I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to live life to the fullest. I'm going to enjoy everything. Anything I want, I'm going to do it. And yeah, a lot of people live like that. A lot of Americans live like that. That is the American dream. Just do whatever, just everything. Except Solomon here, just I guess he could go all out. He didn't have to show restraint. The normal person, I've mentioned this before, but the regular person has restraints. You're limited from doing certain things. You have financial restrictions. Your money doesn't allow you to do certain things. If you don't have a certain amount of wealth, there's just certain things you can't do. Which means there's certain sins you can't go too crazy with, just because you have to live a normal life. You have to have a job, so you can't being an alcoholic isn't exactly a good idea. If you have a function, if you have an 8 to 5 regular work schedule, these are things that are just going to weigh you down. Same with drugs. And Yes, you have these like financial restrictions, you have time restrictions, you're limited. If you have a job, you're limited in, what you can do. And usually it's because it's a job. A job is what limits you. It takes up so much of your time, for most people at least, and it limits what you can do outside of those hours. And so people have restrictions. They have boundaries on what they're able to do. Some people don't. Some people have almost no boundaries at all. So Solomon was one of those people. He could do whatever he wanted to do. There were no limits. Plus, he was king, so not only did he have intelligence and wealth, but he has that authority. Authority and prestige go a long way. So he was able to fully go into what he wanted to do. What was it? Epicureanism. Epicureanism, hedonism. Just going all out, just doing everything. And and there's nothing wrong with doing good things, pleasure, but obviously some people just go do it in excess, and it sounds like that's what happened to Solomon. And behold, this also is vanity. He's like, yeah. So basically, even in verse 1, he's saying, yeah, I did all of this, and it's pointless. He starts thinking about life. Instead of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what doeth it? So yeah, I'm laughing, I'm enjoying life, and at the end, he's still sad. He's still sad, even after doing things that seem like they would be enjoyable, right? Doing things that seem like they would be enjoyable, and at the end, he's still sad. I know someone posted this on Facebook once. It had a picture of a bunch of people. I don't remember all the people on that picture. It was like 9 people. It was like a 3x3 picture, and they're all famous people. And all these people were smiling. And on this picture, I only recognized maybe like 2 out of the 9 people on there, but they were all smiling. And then below it, the caption said, "This is what depression looks like." So all these famous people, they're all laughing in this picture. And then it says at the bottom, "This is what depression looks like." And I could be wrong, but I think every single person in that picture committed suicide. I think that's probably what happened. I think every single person, because I did recognize some people in there that I did hear they committed suicide. So I can only assume that's what they were talking about. That like literally every single person in that picture committed suicide. And then it said, they're laughing, and it said, "This is what depression looks like." And so this is not something evident. It's not evident. Depression isn't evident. It's something some people manage to hide for a very long time. So this is not, it's not something you should keep inside. You don't want to drive yourself to that condition where you're committing suicide. You need to go somewhere. You need to go to God. You need to talk to people. You can't just, if you just let it stay there, fester, it's just going to get worse. And so yeah, that's what happens. Like even laughter and mirth and doing enjoyable things, like just something is wrong. Something is missing. There's a void in your life despite doing happy things. And Solomon understood that. Solomon understood that. And he was a Christian. Not really a Christian. You have to believe in Jesus Christ. But in those terms, he believed in God. He knew the God. He knew the God of the Bible. He knew the real God. It would be incorrect to say he was a Christian, because that's a New Testament thing. So he believed in God. So he knew the real God. He wasn't some heathen king who thought that the grave was it, or believed in some kind of false deity. Even though Solomon believed in the real God, the creator of the universe. And he still ended up like this. So even as a Christian, you're not immune. I've already mentioned this, but you're not immune from ending up like this. You are not immune from depression. You're not immune from, just all these sins. You're not. And then verse 3 it says, "I sought in mine heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life." Now this is a very strange statement. And to lay hold on folly. So it's like he's doing stupid stuff on purpose. If I'm understanding this correctly. Like purposely doing stupid things. Which I feel like that's a lot of people. Purposely doing stupid things. Drinking, that's a stupid thing. Smoking is a stupid thing. Drugs are a stupid thing. Yeah, a lot of stupid things, really. And then people just go full force into these stupid things, knowing it's stupid, having been told by literally everyone it's stupid. I don't know how many. In 6th grade, we watched a video, like 2 hours, showing how bad drugs are. Like, literally no one in their right mind logically would ever do drugs after that, yet I'm sure it still happens. The dangers of all of these sins are well known, and some of them are legal, like alcohol's legal, smoking's legal. These things that are bad for you, killing people, they're legal. They're legal. Even though it's well known these things are stupid. It's not like you got tricked. No, everybody knows this is stupid. It's common knowledge, and yet people do it. People do stupid things because people are stupid. And, that's sin. And sin messes with the mind. It makes people do dumb things, illogical things, emotional decisions. And so Solomon here is laying hold on folly. So he's like grabbing hold of it. It's like on purpose. It's like, why? Why would you do this on purpose? You're the smartest man ever. Like, you're the smartest man ever. Why are you doing these stupid things? And it's just illogical. It doesn't make any sense. So let's see. It says here, lay hold on folly till I might see what was good for us, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. And so he's trying to understand. He's like, I want to understand everything. I want to understand the sin, the evil, the good. I want to live life to the fullest. Understand, and like, what's good to do? And it says at the end, he just says everything's vanity. Like doing great things, bad things, whatever. It's all vanity. So this is Solomon. And if Solomon ended up like this, anybody could end up like this. So let me continue in verse 10. I'm going to go, let's see, 10 through 12. Verse 10. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. So yeah, he was a hard worker. Solomon was a hard worker. He got rewarded for his labor, obviously. For my heart rejoiced in all my labor, all his work, and maybe it was some kind of like building projects, but also skills. He did stuff that he enjoyed, and this was my portion of all my labor. So he says, yes, I got blessings from the work that I did. Okay, good. This is fair. Makes sense. This is pretty much how the world works. That's how it works now. People do things they enjoy, or their job, and they get rewarded. Verse 11. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. So he does all this stuff, and then he's like, it's just pointless. Like, it's just pointless. All was vanity and vexation of spirit. Now, I looked up the word vexation once. It's a very interesting definition. It has a lot that goes into it. Like, a lot of these old King James words that we don't really use anymore, they have some very deep meanings sometimes, like multiple, like 2 or 3 different definitions. So a vexation is like it was like annoyance. It was like being troubled and annoyed. It's like just turbulent, and I guess kind of like basically stressed in some ways, but also like I remember being annoyed is part of it. It's like, yeah, it's annoying and aggravating, vexing. So this is the vexation of spirit. So it's like it's all pointless. It's just everything's just it's a pain. Everything's a pain, and that's what a depressed person would say. Everything's a pain. And there was no profit under the sun. So, actually, you know what? I like to comment on that. Like, right there. No profit under the sun. I just thought of this. Sometimes God gives you things to say. You don't really prepare. Yeah. So, no profit under the sun. So, some of the things you do for the Lord, there is no profit under the sun. And that's the problem. Like I said in a previous sermon, your salvation, your blessings, they're not physical. You get eternal blessings in heaven. So there's no profit under the sun. Doesn't mean that something you're doing for the Lord will profit you in heaven. It's going to profit you in heaven. It's not necessarily going to profit you under the sun. You will not necessarily see the rewards for your labor on earth. And yes, that's annoying because you want to know what's going on, right? Are people getting saved? Is anything I'm doing, is any of it having any purpose? This YouTube channel, will this YouTube channel grow to a large enough size to where it is influencing people positively? I don't know. I'm praying about that. So you don't know. Some of these things, they pay off like way in, they pay off in the future. You don't necessarily see a short-term gain for the work that you're doing. So the work you do under the sun for the Lord, that pays off in the end. But here in this context, someone's talking about like all this physical labor. It's like, what's the point of it? It's all vanity. But then here in verse 12 it says, "And I turn myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king? Even that which hath already been done." So yeah, there's a verse. I don't know if it's here, but somewhere in Ecclesiastes it says like, there is nothing new under the sun. He keeps using that expression, under the sun, like on earth. And he says there is nothing. There's another verse where he says there's nothing new under the sun. So everything has already been done. Like there's nothing new. And yes, we have new inventions. That's true. But they're just like different forms of stuff we already have, actually. The main, like, life in general hasn't really changed for people. It's still the same problems. I will be honest, there have been huge changes in technology in the last, even just the last 20, 30 years. It's huge. I understand it's huge. But still, nothing new under the sun. Humans still have the same problems. Relationship problems, depression problems, making a living problems. We're not in a post-scarcity society, although we probably could have been. But because of sin, we're not going to be in a post-scarcity society. Heaven will be a post-scarcity society where you don't have to worry about having enough food and making a living. That'll only be only in heaven. Right now, because of sin, because of corruption, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Even if we are living better than people 100 years ago. So even that which had already been done. So it's just interesting. Even in verse 12, he's talking about, oh, I just went like headlong into sin. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Someone like Solomon, he just wants. It's like I wanted to know madness and folly. Madness, like being crazy. Like, well, what's it like to behold wisdom? And so, for what can a man do that cometh after the king, even that which hath already been done? So it's like, yeah, there's nothing new. And then, so let's see, that was 10 through 12, and so this is still Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I read 10 through 12, and let's read verse 15. So this is all still Ecclesiastes chapter 2. Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me, and why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart that this also is vanity. So yeah, as it's been mentioned, like, Solomon did stupid things. Like Solomon, okay, I don't think they had drugs. Like I don't think they had that, but definitely wine. Drinking. That, and it's a good thing. I mean, maybe I don't think they had the drugs that we have now and all that stuff. But Solomon, drinking, and the fool drinks. The fool drinks, and Solomon drinks. So they're both alcoholics. And you can see that all the time. Just because someone's a millionaire, billionaire, they do the same dumb things. They get drunk, they do drugs, they smoke, they make bad life decisions, they get married to some person they barely know and then get divorced. Regular people do that, famous people do that. So making decisions, not asking God about their decisions, and just complete mess. And then having like split custody and just Just a complete mess most people get into. And unfortunately, some of these people get, tricked. It's not like people want to live like this. It's not like people want to get divorced and then have like split custody and then have all these problems. No, like nobody wants that. But that happens so often. Why? Because of sin. So it's like, that's just how it goes. So, and so all of that, and like a lot of these things are written in the Bible. Like David had marital issues, and Solomon, I can't even begin to comprehend what kind of marital issues he would have had. And so, yeah, nothing new under the sun. Same sins, same problems, same depression, same emotional decisions to everything. And nothing's changed. The fool and the wise man. It doesn't matter. You can have a PhD and just have awful life skills and make dumb life decisions, regardless of your education. So, like literally nobody's immune. Nobody's immune from sin. Without God, you're just going to act like an animal. Honestly, without God, you're just going to end up acting like an animal. So, that's basically what happens. And that's what happened to Solomon. Supposedly the wisest man. If it happened to Solomon, it can happen to anybody. And I think Nebuchadnezzar is a good example. This is sort of on the same topic, but Nebuchadnezzar was the king, and he got proud, and God said, "You're going to be an animal." And he literally was an animal for the next 7 years. He just crawled around, and he just went crazy. His mind went crazy for the next I think it was 7 years. I forget how. Actually, I think it was 7, but I don't quote me on it. I don't remember. But he was just like on the ground, like moving around like an animal. And that can happen to anybody. God can humble anybody. So anyway, and then so that was Ecclesiastes chapter 2. I read a lot of verses there. So let's go to Ecclesiastes 12. I have one more verse I want to share here. Ecclesiastes 12:8, chapter 12, verse 8. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, all is vanity. Okay, so I didn't really add anything new there. He just says, just going again, everything is vain, everything's pointless, and yeah, you're just going to depress. So if I haven't driven that point yet, just read the whole book of Ecclesiastes and just really think about it. Really think about it. Without God, what is the point of your life? Without God, just think about that. So I think the book of Ecclesiastes really drives home that, it's like the perspective of an atheist. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to the grave. What's the point? Everybody's gonna die. There you go. So, so it's very interesting. Ecclesiastes is a very, very unique book in the Bible. Very, very unique book. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know what else to say here, other than, I think I've said everything I could, is that Solomon just gave himself over to lust and to sin, and it did not make him happy. It didn't. All the pleasure in the world, all the mirth, it didn't. It was temporary. For a time, yeah, he probably enjoyed it, but eventually it got to him. He wasn't happy. He was depressed. And he didn't live as long as he could have. He didn't. I think he died probably around 50, maybe in his early 50s, sometime around there. He didn't live as long as his dad. His dad had a much harder life, a much more stressful life, and his dad lived to about 70. Solomon, early 50s probably. He didn't live as long because God did not promise Solomon long life. It was conditional. He promised him long life if he lived right. The other things he promised him unconditionally, like you're going to be wise, you're going to be rich. That was guaranteed. You're not. He said you're going to get that no matter what. But the long life, Solomon didn't get that because, he went, he went in the wrong direction. To put it lightly, he went in the wrong direction. So don't be like Solomon. Don't be like Solomon. And you're like I think I said in a previous video, you can win all the lotteries, the genetic lottery, the wisdom, the knowledge lottery, every kind of lottery. that, you know, at birth everything is handed to you, and you can still be a miserable wreck if you do not, if you don't make the right decisions. You can still make stupid decisions. And one of the best decision you can make is to trust in Jesus Christ. That's really the best decision, and to serve him, because otherwise you're just gonna have a mess of a life and not understand where everything is. And even if you do have a good life, you're still going to get judged by God at the end anyway, for your sins, and you're not going to be spotless. So just keep that in mind, you know. Anyway, so I don't know what else I could say here. So this ends the sermon. So I think I managed to drag this out to 3 parts. So at this point, I'll just be rambling. So anyway, I'm gonna finish this off, and next time, the next sermon will be on hell. That is an unfortunate topic, but I do need to make a sermon on that. So that'll probably be quite lengthy. So, yeah. So see you next time.